All right, well, welcome back to yet another CartoonSmart podcast where we're going to have our on again, off again, mostly on again co-host Cleavon do a lot of the work. And Cleavon, do you want to introduce yourself? I do indeed. Welcome back, everybody. And we're going to pick on the documentation one more time. This actually literally is going to come from the Swift programming language documentation. That's a pre-release, but Swift 2.2 is ready and willing for you to get up in there. So we're gonna make what's called a new playground, where we don't even need to here, I'm gonna back out a second. This was the board games tutorial that you're teaching without me right now, isn't it? That is indeed. That's some of the code that we're going to be working through. Actually, I'm going to teach this right as soon as you get out of here. And we're going to make a card and board games tutorial, but it's all going to lead up to a really neat kit where you don't even have to do any programming. But that kind of gets us off topic. Keep showing people what we're going to show them. Right. All right. So just go over here to new, and they got this thing called a playground that you can hop up into. And so you're not really building a project or anything like that. But if you just got some coding ideas and you're not going to do much more than print out stuff, then you can just do that in here. I got one in there that I need to replace. All right. So we're going to do that, and look at that catchiness up there. Playground, and now a place where people can play. That's funny that they wrote that in here. But that is not actually true all the time. Nobody plays at the playground where I'm from. They tag it up with stuff like that. Although one time they did tag up they spray painted the URL of it was like a social media network for 4x4 enthusiasts. And I actually did appreciate that. I'm going to begin typing some stuff out right here. Although I found out later on that it was if your car was a 4x3, that meant that one of the wheels was not getting power to it, then that you were immediately out of the group. So they took away every sort of status I had in there. All right, so we're gonna put in here function calculate statistics, and all right, so this is where it goes a little off the rails for me. A lot of times I'm used to just throwing in here. A lot of times I'll call a function without any sort of parameters, nothing that we're going to pass into it. But now when we call this, what it's wanting is a whole kind of slew of scores, right? So. And it's saying that it wants it in an int format, but it's got the brackets over here, right? So int with the brackets around it, which is what? That means that they want you to, or you can provide an array of values in here. So when we call the function, we're going to pass into it an array of integer types, right? Which are just kind of solid, in your terminology, solid. Yeah, that's right. Solid numbers, not the ones that are decimalified. Okay, so int, and then, all right, now here's where it gets really wacky. It does the, where is that thing on the keyboard? There it is. And then, right, there it is. It looks like an arrow. Okay, so it's the dash, and then the, I guess that's the greater than symbol. So that's telling you, it's like leading your way out of the function. It's saying when we're gone, when you got to go, you're going to take some stuff with you. So and then you put in here the things that are going to come out, right? So a minimum, or that's what I guess that stands for. Minimum, also going to be a number, int, and then the maximum, right? So we're probably going to figure out which one was the biggest numbers that we put in there. And then the sum. This sounds like a plumbing job, to be honest. Int, and then we're going to do the what is this thing? The squiggly bracket, not the pretty nice one like that, but the one that shares that same space on the keyboard. They kind of cohabitate together. One probably pays half the rent. That's the squiggly bracket, and then anytime you're going to do that, you got to go ahead and just put this in over here. So, and I'm assuming that the red means that it's like a stoplight. You got to stop and think about things for a little bit. Actually, no, it's telling you that you would have an error right now because you've basically committed this function to returning something, but at the end of your code here, you haven't actually returned anything. Okay, so well, let's just keep writing what they're writing, and you'll figure it out, I think. All right, so just keep writing verbatim. Var, that's going to be min equals scores. Oh, so it's just initially making the value, because this z is, the 0 is just the first index of whatever we passed into this, right? So here's that variable that we put into it, and then it's just saying like, we'll just go ahead and start this off with whatever value is the 0, 1 in. Okay, all right, so I get that. The first one in, and then I guess they're going to do that for the same thing. You'd think that they could just put a 0 right there, but who am I? Well, I guess the 0 doesn't make sense, because then it could conceivably be too low, because the lowest or the maximistest would be one of these numbers anyway. All right, so now I'm getting the hang of it. Okay, so we're making another variable equals 0. So this time around the sum is 0, because we haven't added anything up. So I assume as we go through, as we reiterate around through the numbers with this for loop that's coming up, then we'll figure out the sum and figure out who kind of bested who number wise that went into the quote unquote arena over here, all right, so like I said, we're gonna, the for statement, this creates this little kind of temporary variable named score that we can use inside of here, and so whatever was the scores, these integers, this is going to be just another int that we can kind of inspect inside of this little loopy loop. All right, so if score is greater than, now how come they don't do this right here? Look at that. A lot of times when I do the ifs, I do the that little the parenthesis around it. It's just, I don't think it really matters that much. I doubt it makes a huge difference processing the code that you've got over here, but it's really, this is like what you would consider a stylistic thing. Well, I kind of like the style that I got going, where you don't have to think about it so much. But I guess we'll just throw it out here kind of naked in a sense. Naked and afraid coding. That would be Cleavon. Let's not even start any sort of naked and afraid. All right. Okay. So max is okay. So if the score is greater than the max, okay. Oh, I see. So it's doing the little reiterate thing here, and then the max would have been with the first score that went in. Okay, so then if that score is greater than the max, then the max is now going to equal what the score is. That's some kind of circular thinking right there, but I can kind of wrap my mind around it. It's like I'll just keep typing right here, and then I don't think I can make the comparison while I'm typing. But the same thing is essentially going on over here. So it's like if you take like a tractor up one hill, and your tractor has a problem, and then you see a bigger hill, you know that the tractor is also going to have a big problem going up that hill. But you would be able to identify that, listen, that was the worst situation. This situation that I'm about to come up upon is worse than the one that I just dealt with. So let's just go ahead and consider that the worst. And that's what our max variable is. All right, so that's else if. I can't tell you how many tractors I've gotten, or bobcats I've gotten stuck in similar situations like that. And sometimes you just have to leave a bobcat at someone's house for a while if say it was going to rain, and that never makes the wives happy that they go to their husbands, I thought this job was going to be done by now, but Cleavon just up and left his tractor, and I'm sorry, but sometimes it just has to go down. Maybe I'm not available again for a month or two to come get that tractor. All right, so now as we go through here, what we're going to do is say don't make me laugh. You know that you do that sometimes. If you're just sitting over there smiling and looking at me, Justin, I don't like that one bit. All right, so sum, that has happened to me, though. Sum plus equals score. I hate it when they write this stuff like that. I would love to just put in here sum equals sum plus score, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I had $2, and then That's the $2 that I had again, and then we're just putting in here the money that I got, the new money that I got coming in right there. But if you told me, hey, I'm going to give you $2 and it's going to be plus equals this new money, I'm going to be like, what? You're not trying to rip me off, are you? All right, so sum plus equals score. That's just going to keep adding whatever the current score was to the current sum, which started off as 0. So it's going to keep bumping its way up. And we're still getting that traffic red light down there at the bottom, which I don't understand because I feel like I've been writing this code perfectly. I would like it if it would switch to a green. Is it going to do that if I do write the code in there as they want? No, but there is a yellow. You get like a bit of a warning at times, and that's your yellow. So they might say, hey, you didn't use a variable, but warnings are fine. Oh, so it's like a real traffic light. Like if it's yellow, you know that you're just going to go right through that thing. Okay, so return min, max, sum. So now it stopped complaining because what? We committed essentially to returning that minimum value that we established up in there. And then the max, that's the other one, okay, and then the sum over that way. Now here's where it gets really interesting because, I don't know what that means. I'll just save it out. Okay, all right. So we haven't even called this thing. Would you shut up? We haven't even called this thing yet. So what we're gonna have to do is go over here to let, and then statistics equals. I don't even know much about statistics. The only statistics I know is payday and the day that everybody else takes Cleavon's money. All right, so let's just throw in here 5. Well, I'll just use the same numbers that they got. 5, 3, 100. That's obviously going to be the max. You know what's silly is why would you even write all this stuff if you could just look at it? Like I can look at me as a human. I could look at that and go, well, you want to know the max? It's 100. It's the only one of 3 freaking digits over there. All right, so that's how the computers need to work. Calculate statistics. This was actually from the code. It was supposed to be statistics. So if we give it that plural S, there we go. That makes a little bit more sense. All right, let statistics is going to equal calculate statistics. Well, now here's the crazy thing. What on earth is this going to be when it comes out of here? Because we haven't specified any sort of type like int or anything like that. It's inferring that it's going to well, just watch what happens in the next line of code. This is one of the neat things about Swift is it's got this inference to it. So yeah, you keep typing. All right, here we go. Print, and then they say type out over here statistics dot sum. And you know what? I haven't even really been paying attention to. I've been swept up in the storm, so to speak, over here. I haven't even worried about the port that I was going to go into, which is over here, right? This is any port in a storm is a good one. So now it's telling me over here that 120. So I figured out the sum. It's just printing that out as like in real time as I do this. That's great. All right, so that's the sum. And then the other one that let's just cheated a little bit, copy pasted it. So they have a 2 in here as their other example. And so that's repeating back to max. What if I wanted to, so I guess what they're showing is there's 2 ways that you could write this. You could either say statistics.1, 2 or 3, right? 1 is going to be what, the min? No, that's not right. What? My minimum was, the minimum that I threw in here was 3, I thought. Did I write this wrong? Did the number 3 come into here twice? It did. Okay, 8. I don't even think it added up right. No, it did. It got to 120. All right, well, what does dot 3 equal over here on this side? There is no dot 3. What on earth is dot 2 then? All right, let me try this a different way. What if I come over here and I just put in here min, right? All right, now it's showing me the 3. Well, what if I changed it on the fly? I just said, boop, now you're a 1. How come it hasn't changed that yet over here? There it is. It did go good. And, all right, so now we got that's sort of what we call a proof of concept. I got a lot of jobs that could stand to have a proof of concept. All right, so dot max. All right, so that was our 100. And, oh, yeah, by changing the 3 to a 1, that also changed our score over there, too. All right, I'm going to have to look up what the dot 2 means. Actually, Cleavon, you were on the right track over there. You got to remember that sometimes, or a lot of times when you're dealing with the variables and stuff like that, your index or your first one is actually going to be 0. So watch what happens if you change this over here to 0. You're going to start to get your expected result again, where 0 is now the minimum, right? Your min. And then 1 is what? Going to be your max number. And then 2, again, is going to be the sum. Wow, look at that. Yeah, Mr. Smarty Pants drops in a little bit of information right at the end, and now you look like the freaking hero of the tutorial. Well, thanks a lot. At least I was able to copy all this stuff out, and could I have just copied it right from the documentation? Did I even need to, can you just go through and copy that? Yeah, doggone it, you can. Look at that. Man, we could have saved ourselves like 15 odd minutes over here. We could have just been done in a minute, and then you could have gone about telling people about the website, which I'm not really at. All I'm at is these silly podcasts that you do. Cleveland, I try to run a professional website where I give people the best information without people like you coming in here and just talking nonsense and all that stuff. So yes, if you did want to go over to CartoonSmart.com, we have 2,000 plus hours of videos. No, you know nobody's going to watch 2,000 videos or 800 some hours of information. That's not actually the point, though. The point is that we've amassed this huge amount of incredible videos from instructors that I've literally curated and said, you are good enough to teach here. And people, it's like a buffet bar. That's a term that you get that, don't you? Oh, I know, I get the comparison. It is like a buffet of information. And so if somebody wants, this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, as long as you don't sneeze on it or do anything weird or jump into the line, you're going to be fine at the buffet. No one's going to ask you to leave. You can maybe even take your shoes off at the table. Well, that's the best part about the website. You can come dressed however you want. It's like a school. It's like an entire college in a box that you can watch between watching Adult Swim or whatever Monster Rally you've taped on VCR. Yeah, you just talking down to me right now. Okay, all right. Just tell people it's CartoonSmart.com and you just shut off this thing. You're making people pay by the... information is not 100% free. It costs somebody a little bit to download that extra, half megabyte to hear you just ramble on. You're right. Okay, I'm out of here. Now, goodbye, everybody.